Hello, I'm Ed Mullin, and I'd like to talk to you today about the robotics industry and how it could affect the future of the greater Baltimore area. The robotics industry is big, and it's going to get bigger. In the near term, robots are more likely to look like the little bot than the big one, but they're going to make a lot of them. Yes, the robot population is exploding. Robot sales grew roughly 50% between 2010 and 2012. And robots are big money. For example, before the war in Afghanistan, spending on UAVs was a few $100 million a year. Now they're spending over $4 billion just on buying new drones. And some place is going to be the center of robotic design, manufacturing, and service, just like Detroit was for automobiles. In short, some place is going to be Robot City, USA. And such centers of technology become centers of wealth for the people who live there. Detroit generated a huge amount of wealth from the car industry, and decades after its heyday, it's still too big to fail. And think about how Silicon Valley went from an orchard economy to an international center of high-tech innovation and wealth. Remember, the railroad industry built many of Baltimore's fortunes and neighborhoods. So maybe some backstories in order here. My wife and I live on a farm with kids who have a natural tendency towards geekiness, creativity, and competition. In 2011, my two sons were part of the team that won the middle school division of the VEX Mid-Atlantic Robotics Competition. The next thing we knew, we were headed to Disney World for the World Championships. While Kevin, Sean, and the rest of the team were playing against teams from China, Singapore, New Zealand, Mexico, and Puerto Rico, I was looking at all the sponsorship from companies like HP, NASA, Autodesk, IBM, and Northrop Grumman. And I noticed colleges and corporations were swarming over this event like NFL scouts at a combine. I also noticed that there were teams from Hereford, Delaney, Western, Baltimore Polytechnic, Carroll County, Woodlawn, Dunbar, Chesapeake High, and many more. The Baltimore area is to competitive robotics what Western Pennsylvania is to football. So I got thinking, this industry is at an inflection point, much like when the Wright brothers were puttering around their bicycle workshop. Something was about to break, and I wondered what all this meant for Baltimore with our smart kids and manufacturing history. And given our proximity to natural robotic customers like Johns Hopkins, Lockheed Martin, AEI, and the Department of Defense, why wasn't I seeing more robotic manufacturing around town? Yes, there were examples of locally developed robots like the Da Vinci robot from Johns Hopkins and the undersea bots from Ocean Engineering that worked on the BP oil spill, and the drones from Northrop Grumman and AEI. But where was the big manufacturing being done? Who was working on this stuff? Who was trying to be Robot City? Well, I found out there were cities vying for the title of Robot City. They were cities like Boston, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. All cities I hate for sports reasons. So I ask you why? Why do our smart kids that you and I pay taxes to educate in Baltimore area schools and colleges have to move to other cities to work for a robotics manufacturer? A manufacturer who in turn is going to sell those robots back to organizations in the greater Baltimore area like Johns Hopkins, Homeland Security, or Northrop Grumman. And imagine the impact of being Robot City and what it would mean for Baltimore. Imagine a reinvigorated port, people moving to Baltimore instead of away from it. Imagine a return to the design and manufacturing industries that put this city on the map. And it doesn't have to be dirty manufacturing like in the past. It could be like what Tesla did in California. They took an old car factory and remade it into a clean manufacturing facility for the electric cars of the future. So is this idea far-fetched? Baltimore has been a center of technology before, back in the age of sail and of railroads. Imagine what people in Detroit thought before Henry Ford's dream took off. And if not in Baltimore, where? Let's talk about it. Let's not let this opportunity slip away. Imagine Baltimore, Robot City, USA.